After treatment, can addictions cause problems at work? Give me a call tonight, 877-358-CL-TV. We thank you for joining us on Garrard McClendon Live. Joining me now by telephone to help my audience understand the trials of a sex addiction. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of Kentucky, former NBA player for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Winston Bennett. How are you this evening, Mr. Bennett?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
Steady B, man. I appreciate you being on the show tonight. I had to get that nickname out. Steady B, talk to us. You know, Winston Bennett, you played pro ball. Tell us your story about sex addiction, sir.
Well, you know, the main thing is, you know, I got on this roller coaster of having sex with women 3 and 4 times in a day that started really back in high school, escalated in college, and of course escalated even more in the NBA. And all along that time, you know, I had a wonderful family, wife and kids that supported me. But at the same time, you know, I was pretty much decimating my own family. Certainly there was no trust there between me and my wife because of the infidelity that was going on outside the line, so to speak. And, you know, I lost so much, you know, lost homes, lost cars, lost money, and all this material stuff. But the biggest thing that I lost was just character, you know. And that's the very thing that you live for. It takes you a lifetime to build your character and a moment to destroy it.
You know, Winston, talk to me, man. Is it possible, though, and my viewers have to know this, is it possible to recover, and what steps do you take to recover?
It takes a lifetime to recover, and the recovery starts one step at a time. I think the recovery starts first with admission. And Tiger's never admitted that he was a sex addict, so let's get that out there. He's had sexual, you know, relations with women, I think maybe how he's put it. So he's not come forward and says, I am truly a sex addict. Now, that's something that's got to be looked at right there. I mean, he's never admitted it. Maybe he's not. You know, there's a fine line between a guy that just goes out and has intercourse and a guy that, you know, has women 3 or 4 times a day, anywhere, anyhow. Now,
Winston, help me clarify, man, because if you have a libido that is more intense, let's say, than the average person, does that mean that you're a sex addict? What are the requirements for that?
I think, number one, when you start to, and all of us guys probably do this, when you start to fantasize, but it goes beyond just fantasizing, you know, when it starts to take up hours and hours of your time. There's one thing to have a fantasy about a girl and, you know, and sleeping, you know, with Janet Jackson or something like that, but it's a whole nother thing when you start fantasizing, you know, 24 hours out of a 24-hour day. You know, you want to be with a girl, and everyone you come across, you start to think about them, okay, what would they be like in bed? You know, what is that going to feel like, this, that, and the other.
Now, Winston, let me make it clear, too, man. You were not exaggerating. 90 women per month, Winston Bennett?
There were times, you know, that occurred, you know. No, that's no exaggeration. And that's, you talk about what are the characteristics. That's the characteristic. You know, that's uncommon. That's not common. You know, 3 or 4 women in a day for a whole month, you know, each day. That's not common. Something's wrong there. And it took me a long time to come to that realization that, hey, this is not normal.
So is returning to golf, you know, is this feasible for Tiger? I mean, is this too soon, Winston Bennett?
Well, we have to ask ourselves, you know, the one thing that has allowed us to say, okay, well, Tiger Woods is human, is the fact that this has occurred in his life. He's shown some sort of weakness, which he hasn't up until this point. And the measure of a man, you know, you have to measure each man, and it will be very difficult for me to sit back and say, okay, this is too soon for Tiger. I don't know if it's too soon for him because he's proven himself up until now to be abnormal because he's, you know, he's Michael Jordan on the golf course. So sometimes your playing field can be your sanctuary where you can lay everything else aside and go out there and do what you do.
You know what?
I find that very difficult to do, Mr. McClendon, because, you know, he's the best golfer in the world. And with everything that has happened, that's got to be laying on his mind. He's going to see hecklers, and all that's not just going to go away.
You know, Winston, how does he go about mending his family? How did you go about mending yours?
I was very fortunate in that, number one, I had godly people surrounding my wife and surrounding me. So it wasn't so easy to say, okay, let's get a divorce, let's sever the relationship because of all the infidelity. You know, our whole impetus behind our life has been a fundamental basis and a belief in Jesus Christ. And he represents, you know, forgiveness, love, turning the cheek, and trying to do better with your life. So that's where we started.
Yeah. Last question, Winston Bennett. Talk to me. If there's someone in my audience right now struggling with this particular addiction, what advice would you give them, Winston Bennett?
First of all, get help. You know, I've received a number of emails since the story has run on ESPN about people that's in the same situation but have been too scared to tell their wife or the significant other and has done nothing to help themselves. There's SAA groups all across the nation. That's Sex Addicts Anonymous all over the nation. There's sex counselors all over the nation. And get with people that have your best interest at heart. Not will just tell you what you want to hear, but will let you know that, hey, man, you need help. This is not right. Yes.
Winston Bennett, you know, we really appreciate you giving us a call here on Garrard McClendon Live, and your courage, man, is definitely respected by me as well as our viewers. Winston Bennett, thanks for being on GML tonight. We appreciate you, man.
Mr. McClendon, I appreciate it, man, and all praises to God, man.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can your addictions get in the way of your employment performance? Can you recover with treatment or returns to the masters? Can he manage? Author Darren Washington and Transition Team's Executive Director Dana London join me next. Call me 877-358-CLTV. Garrard McClendon Live. Back in 2.